You should do stand-up.
I do actually.
You do?
What's the tour?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, you know, when you're...
Is it interesting?
When you're big.
It is interesting, and my issue is that I've done stand-up before, and it never really goes that well. I do like to tell stories. A lot of the stories I tell, I sort of are the same ones that I repeat on stream. And
Like Mamma Mia too.
yeah, so exactly. I mean, what it boils down to is I use my stream to practice my stand-up routine.
Wow.
And over time, I've found that, like, I've gotten better at it, but it really I only get better because I've realized that I am never going to be the funniest person alive. So if I can emulate other people, that's really all that matters.
What?
That's
Bro.
fair. That's fair. So when can we expect your Type 5 though?
So one of my main jokes actually is talking about how I actually met a lot of people. And it's kind of interesting, right?
Like, who have you met?
Well, I talk about how I met my girlfriend, which is always really important.
Yeah.
And I like to play up the self-deprecation a little bit there, about the fact that, you know, waiting for a while, like, you know, it is what it is, and we have fun with it. We do a little trolling. I talk about that.
Do a little bit.
I talk about my first Tinder date, or one of my not my first one, like one of my main ones. That was the one where I was a homewrecker.
Oh.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You little minx.
Have I not shared that one?
No.
I don't. No.
I went on a Tinder date. Have I really not told you all this?
I haven't heard
this
it.
one.
Maybe we
Okay.
should wait for next stream when everyone's here and they can hear it.
I'm sure I've told this one before. Okay,
I mean, you
whatever.
might have, but I wasn't there
Okay,
for
fine.
it.
I'll share. Okay. So the year is 2019. My previous girlfriend and I have broken up. Fairly recently, I'd say about, 2 months ago. A little less than. And you know, when you're recently broken up, you just make bad decisions, right? It's like, I want to do something that I never did because, god damn it, I deserve it, right? Like, that's the extent of it. And so, naturally, I was thinking to myself, what better way to be just so cool than be like a 21-year-old... No, wait, was I 21? No, I would've been... No, I was 21 at the time. Yeah, This is 2018? Oh god, this is 2018. My bad. So it's the summer of 2018, and I'm 20 at the time. I'm not 21. And so naturally, I'm trying to be cool, but when you're a 20-year-old on Tinder, on a college campus, that is like the least appealing age you could possibly be for most, like, college-age girls on Tinder, right? Because all of them, you know, you can't go out to bars with them, you can't buy girls underage alcohol, you can't do anything. You can't do anything, right?
I didn't stop my campus, but go on.
Right. Like, I didn't have a fake, so I'm a good law-abiding boy. But you know what? I was broken up. I was recently single. I was feeling impulsive, so I set the age range up to 29.
Oh my
Oh.
boy.
And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to just play the field. Because you know what? What is the worst that can happen? What is the absolute worst that could happen?
The foreboding in that sentence.
Well, I matched with this woman who, she said she was 25. And, you know, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just sort of swiping right on basically most promising candidates, right? You know, I'm not really saying no, to be very, very straightforward. And we get to talking, and, you know, she had an Anchorman quote in her bio, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna say, like, yeah, I know Anchorman. And I had in my photos, one of my photos, I'm wearing a Survivor buff. because, you know, that is who I am. And she was like, yo, do you watch Survivor? And I said, yeah, I do. Why, do you? And she's like, I love Survivor. And so we got talking about it, right?
So you started hearing wedding bells.
No, because Tinder. But I did, like, you know, she was like, we gotta go on a Blood versus Water season sometime and say, yeah, we met on Tinder. And I'm like, sure thing, doc. You know, I was like, you know, I'm impulsive, but I am not that impulsive yet. So we get to talking, and then eventually she's like, you're cool, you wanna, like, meet up and smoke sometime? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm impulsive, I can do this, it's great. We'll watch Big Brother and everything, because Big Brother 20, I think, was airing at the time. And I don't watch Big Brother. I don't like it. But, you know, someone from Tinder said, hey, you should watch Big Brother. So, I guess I was. Anyway, so we make plans to meet up and hotbox in her car. And, you know, I tell her to meet me at, like, the park across from my house, you know? Like, I don't tell her to come to my house, because that is a rookie mistake, and you cannot share where you live, right? That is a bad idea. So I'm standing out on the corner, you know, as one does, stand on the street corner, waiting for my date to arrive, and she pulls up in the car, and, well, let me put it this way. So she opens, or she parks the car, and she comes over, and she opens up the door, and she says, hey, you're cool. You look like your photos. And I was like, what? Have you met someone who doesn't? And she's like, oh, yeah. And, you know, at this point, I can share that she does not look like her photos, because her photos are, I would say, 3-4 years old at this point. Which is fine, I guess. It's not the end of the world. She doesn't look that different, and, like, I'm not, like, so shallow where it's like, oh, you don't like your photos? Ugh. So, whatever. That was, like, the first sort of, like, I guess, red flag, right? Red flag number 2 comes along when I, you know, I get in the car, front seat, I sit down, wow, what a level up, and I see on her left hand ring finger, there is a ring. Ooh. And so I'm there just like, alright, this is fine. Maybe it's an open relationship. I don't know. And then, red flag 3 comes along because, you know, as I'm curious, it's a minivan. I turn around, there's a car seat in the back seat.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, oh, alright, sure thing. Great. Oh god, what have I gotten myself into? So I'm sitting there, right, in the car, and she goes, oh yeah, so, yep, I have a daughter, she's 2, and I was like, okay, and she's like, yep, it's okay, and at this point, you know, we're smoking out of an apple, right, and I'm just like, okay, sounds great, and at this point, like, you know, we're driving around the Madison area, and I'm just like, how do I get out of this situation? Oh no, I told my roommates I was going to be gone for a while. Oh no.
No.
And then we're driving down the road, and we're like, let's go to Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A is a good idea. And then she says, yeah, so my husband and I, we're in an open relationship, though he's kind of on the fence about it. And I'm just like, no,
What?
please.
Red flag.
And I'm just like, oh, really? Tell me more. And she's like, well, the other thing is, you know, we're trying to start my own business, so I quit my job a little bit ago, because I really just want to do life on my terms. And I'm like, you do that. You really just do that. And I'm just sitting there in the car, getting really high on the way to Chick-fil-A, sitting there being like, oh god, am I a homewrecker? Oh god, am I a homewrecker? Oh god, am I a homewrecker? And the whole time, I'm just sitting there, and we pull into the Chick-fil-A, and she's like, I'll pay, don't worry, it's my treat. And I'm like, that's great, it's great. And like, we sit down, and she talks more about her business idea that I can't remember, but is a terrible idea. And it just keeps going from bad to worse, and then she's like, yeah, like, I could get you mushrooms if you'd like, but I just have to tell my husband, and I have to be very clear with him that it's about this, because he has to know the truth, because, like, he's involved in some, like, gang stuff or whatever. I don't know. I just stay my head out of it, and I'm like, okay, this is great! And so, you know, on the way, she pays for Chick-fil-A, and she buys me Chick-fil-A, and it's great. I got free weed, and I got free Chick-fil-A out of it, so I guess it was a win after all. But, shit, Cordelia's dead. But as it turns out, like, I told her, hey, listen, I understand. Oh, and she also had, like, minor BPD, which is never fun. And also, borderline personality disorder.
Oh.
And she had a tendency of having a favorite person. Oh, and it goes dead. Which is not good. And I told her, like, hey, listen, I've played that game with someone who has favorite persons. I would much rather not play this game, and I told her I was very upfront about it in person, and it's like, listen, I have dealt with this before, I cannot do this with another person, and she's like, okay, I respect that, and I appreciate you establishing your boundaries. Like, she was at least cool in that regard, right?
Good.
Like, she's sort of that new age person of, like, the sense where she is like the definition of a tolerant millennial who wants to do their own thing and not live by the rules of society. Kind of, you know? So, like, in any case, I told her, hey, listen, I would rather not do a second date. I enjoyed our time, but I don't want to do another. And she was like, I respect it. Thank you for being honest. I will... And I was like, I'm not going to waste your time. And she's like, thank you for being honest. And it was great. And then I unmatched her on Tinder because I'm not doing that shit. She did not get my phone number. She did not get any of that. It was great. And so it was fine. About 3 weeks later, I'm scrolling through Tinder again. She has made a new profile and she said, hey, if we matched in the past about 2 weeks ago and anything, and we unmatched, we should rematch again. I want to catch up. So, and that was my cue to just, like, not be on Tinder anymore. And that's the story of how I undownloaded Tinder after I became a homewrecker.
Classic voltage.
Yeah, no.
Classic voltage. Just home wrecking all over
Makes
the place.
sense.
So, yeah.
Can you,
Obviously,
like, have an open relationship with somebody who's married?
The married person...
I mean, you could do whatever the fuck you want, right?
Ideally, both people need to be completely on board for it to actually be open.
Yep.
And it sounds like it wasn't open.
Sounds like I helped a woman cheat on her husband.
Yeah. Sounds like that can was half open.
At least you just, like, smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
You
that's a
didn't
very
do-
light
Yeah,
cheating.
no, like, let it be known that I would... No, like, I do not fuck on the first date, to put it very bluntly.
Oh, you're a classy lady.
Yeah, that's it.
Classy lady.
You have to buy me dinner
Oh.
first.
You haven't met me yet. That's all I gotta say.
Oh.
I always fuck on the first
Please.
date.